Hello, I'm John Borowski, and you're on the hook. Today we're going to be talking about the future in towing, as well as the future of safety within towing. Well, hello. Since the last time we've talked, I was telling you about Austin Gain from Orlando, Florida. He was struck on the highway, and he was fighting for his life. Unfortunately, I have to report to you that he has passed. He didn't get through his injuries. He did pass away. Now, unfortunately, Austin was 25 years old, had 3 children, and he leaves the 3 children and their mom behind with no way to support themselves at this point. So there's a GoFundMe. I have already donated. Go in and take a look. You'll see I gave him something and to help the family along. This is yet one more unfortunate circumstance that has happened with our industry. You know, unfortunately, the accidents keep happening. There might be a slight regress right now, but you got to understand there's a lot less cars on the road. I mean, we're about ready to open up again. If we go back to full of where we were, well, yeah, we are year 2 into this pandemic. If we go back to prior to this pandemic and get back to in full traffic on the roads and people going back to normal, people have really got hung up on their phones to a degree that they're distracted so badly. And it's really, we have reached epic proportions as far as roadside hits. I mean, to have the traffic flow go down to where it is, and we only had a slight regress in the numbers, it's scary. You know, Austin is just yet another example of the wonderful people that we're losing in this industry. You know, towing is a very much a fun industry. It's nice to get out there. It's exciting, but it's dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. If you have read my article in the magazine last month, I would hope that you did. If you didn't, please find it and read it. It's about doing pit stops roadside. And the purpose of that is really to try and wake you up to the point that we need to be exposed as little as possible. So, number one, you need to get off the road quick. Secondly, you need to always have your eyes on the oncoming traffic. You have to watch out for the other guys coming at you all the time. You know, this is my 50th year in the industry, and I'm very proud to say that I've never been struck. I've come very close. I've had a broom taken out of my hand in traffic, but I got to tell you, after having that little circumstance, and this was, and mind you, it was not really a big deal. It was a 25-mile-an-hour car coming down the road, but that's what it is. Unfortunately, on the highway, they're doing 70 and 80 today. The cars today operate and perform better than anything we've ever experienced in our lives before. They're lighter, they're more versatile, they're quicker to react, they brake faster, they turn faster. So we've gotten a little lazy behind the wheel, which we think allows us time to be on the phone. It really doesn't. So after writing my article for the magazine last month, and Steve Calitri, the editor-in-chief of American Towing Magazine, along with Denny, the publisher, Denny Ortiz, they have decided that things are not progressing fast enough. And I got to tell you, if there's any mover and shaker in this industry, it's Steve Calitri. And he feels as though that we have enough intelligence within to be able to come up with a new plan, to come up with some new ideas. And he's formed the Roadside Safety Commission that is going to be out there in San Antonio this year at his show. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited about it. I really am. If you put a lot of great minds in the same room, good ideas come out. While we all sit there and think about how can we explore something new, we thought we've done everything. We've never compiled and put a whole bunch of people together to try and figure out something new. I think it's time. I think Steve is absolutely spot on, and I don't know who he's going to put on that commission, but I do know he did say that it's going to be experienced people within the industry. So, I mean, if it's nothing more than several people sitting in a room and throwing out ideas and then dispelling them, that's great. But I'm certain that we're going to go put some new ideas. I feel confident that I have something to contribute to the group. We'll see how it goes. But I know one thing. We can't continue being the leader on losing lives in an industry. Now, while I understand, and I've said it a million times if I said it once, the towers out there do a great job. They really do. They know how to tow. But most of them don't know how to run the office. They really don't. They're not accountants. They have nothing to do with numbers, and they try to compete by price. You can't do that. The biggest problems that we suffer in this industry is all about money. It's always the almighty dollar. And we have to do something about that. Right now, because of the pandemic, and we're into year 2, you're probably finding out that everything's costing a little more. And it is, because it has to. Because like anything else, any profitable business, any business that's still in business, raises their costs because last year cost them more. It's not rocket science. It truly isn't. You have to raise your prices. You can't compete on price. You have to compete on service. And now more than ever, service counts more. Now, I do know that we're about to suffer a lot of changes within the industry. It's not going to be the same towing industry that we all knew. It's going to change. There's no doubt about it. I've already heard scuttlebutt about in motor clubs, where they're going to start incorporating different things. They're all going to be going to digital dispatch. They're all looking forward to that, which means you'll be getting the correct information the first time. It's not going to pass through 3 or 4 hands before you get it and have maybe something deleted, something not added in, improper information. That's a positive issue. It truly is. But what they're also going to do is they're going to take and be moving things into where the car that you picked up and towed will either go to a repair shop or a body shop, wherever it needs to go. The reason why it was being towed, which makes a lot more sense. The less moves, the more profitable for the motor club and for the customer. It just works out a lot better. It truly does. While it may sound like a minor thing, let me tell you something. Our industry is going to change. There's no doubt about it. And if you don't want to change, then you're going to be left behind. Already now, we've had a lot of people in the industry that were probably not very strong as far as their numbers and their profitability. So a lot of them just thrown their hands up and said, I'm done. I cannot handle this anymore. I'm all done. And so be it. There are other companies out there that are making money and they're doing it well. They've adapted to the situation, they've adjusted, they've changed things, and they're doing it. And I know of several companies, I could spiel off their names in just a couple of seconds, that are doing very, very well. And they will do even better once we get back in operation here. There's going to be less towing companies, there's no doubt in my mind, but they're going to be more profitable towing companies. And if you're not looking at your numbers, you need to start doing that now. Training, I know we've had a big turnover in operators. The same silly incidents are still happening. We need to get our people trained. There is training available. There is online training now. We need to change. We need to accept change or we're not going to be in this business. Because if you don't want to change, and you're barely making it now, you may as well sell out and get everything you can out of it and go work for McDonald's. Because when you figure out 40 hours a week, you only want to work 40 hours a week, well, that doesn't happen in the towing industry. It starts at 80 and goes higher. That's really how it works. And if you didn't understand that or didn't want to do that, you better start looking for change now. I have to tell you though, I do predict that we're going to be looking at a much better industry than we've ever seen before. Now, we all call this the towing industry. The towing industry is relatively only 24 years old. So we're going through the growing pains of any other industry. While towing's been around since, 1916 when Ernest Holmes pulled his friend out of the creek, we all know that story. And it's a good story. But understand this. It was treated as an ancillary service, towing, for many, many years. Right up until probably 97. I believe that 1997, when the consolidation efforts came in, just like the trash industry, just like the ambulance industry, came in and matured to the point of becoming an industry. Because it was an ancillary service for towing companies, for garages and body shops. It was much like buying a tire machine. You buy a tire machine to change the tires. And that's kind of what it was. But as we have grown over the years, at least I've been in it 50 years, and I started in 1971. Back then, any kind of repair garage that wanted to have any kind of business, they had a tow truck. Were they specialists in recovery and understanding the weight of their pool, the amount of truck they needed to tow a certain vehicle? No, they didn't know that. They guessed that it was just it was like a tire machine. It truly was. But it's so much more complex now. It truly is. Today, when you go out and do a recovery, first off, you need to know what your tow capacity is. Do you know what your tow capacity is? When you pull something up an embankment or roll it over or whatever, do you know how much force it takes? You know, in the towing industry, we're always trying to fight two forces: gravity and friction. Think about that for a second, because that's what we do every day. When you can figure that out, you're going to be a very successful tower. To a point. Now you got to go to the office, or you better have somebody in the office that knows how to price, knows how to market. We need to do that. I don't want to go off on another tangent. I do want to tell you though, be in San Antonio, understand that this is something that's going to save our lives. Something we need to do. I know darn well that if we put great minds in the same room, we're going to come out with great results. I'm so looking forward to that. And for that, Steve Calitri, if I had a hat on, I'd take it off to you. Thank you. Until the next time, stay safe out there. Everyone goes home tonight.